Our speaker this afternoon is John Kioli, and you can see he's there ready and set to go. John is the founder and CEO of Green Africa Foundation. He's the chairperson of the Kenya Climate Change Working Group. He's actually an appointee by the president as a member of the National Climate Council. John was there and he was part of the team that agreed to the Glasgow Climate Pact during the United Nations Climate Change Conference. That's COP26 in 2021. So you can call him the climate change guru. He's really passionate about environmental conservation and climate change issues. And today, John Kioli is here to speak to us. He's passionate about this topic, and he'll be speaking to us about the correlation between renewable energy and climate change mitigation. John, over to you. We are waiting to hear from you, and you can share your screen with your presentation.
Asante sana. I want to thank you, Lynette. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes, I really miss what I'm feeling, the participants are feeling there. I think it's full of goodness. Next time I'll be there in person, but because of other commitments, I was not able to join. But I want to take this opportunity to share a little bit about some work that I was given on this very great occasion about World Energy Day and the correlation between renewable energy and climate change mitigation. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank the coordinators, the facilitators of this meeting, and those who have organized, because this is really timely at a time when the country is preparing to go to COP27 in Egypt, and a time when the country is struggling in terms of the issues around energy and energy sources in the country. So I will quickly just go through my presentation outline. I'll touch a little bit on the facts that I have gathered about mitigation, and also touch a little bit about nationally determined contribution targets. I'll touch a little bit about potential mitigation options. I'll touch a little bit about renewable technology landscape, renewable energy potential, Paris Agreement, and then we'll conclude. I will not keep you for long. I'll keep you for about 6 hours. I think that's okay, Lynette. 6 hours is not allowed. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that issues around climate change mitigation are very key. And one of the things I wanted to bring to attention is the fact that it is estimated that the population of the world will hit around 8 billion mark by the next 1 month or so. What that means is that, in fact, the issues around energy, the pressure will rise, and the issues around energy will become bigger than what it is today. And you can already see what is happening in Europe already, because there are issues around energy because of the war between Ukraine and Russia. And these are some of the things also which are affecting us. We all know that fossil fuels and mitigation are accounting to about 75% of the global GHG, and that is nearly 90% of our CO2 emissions. We all know that also that since approximately 1850, global use of fossil oil has been increasing, dominating the energy supply, which has led to rapid growth of emissions. So we want to look at also issues around the NDC of our country. Those who are familiar with that, that is the commitment we did in 2015 in a place called La Bougier Paris in France. And as a country, we agreed to cut around 32% of our emissions, that time 30, and then we updated to 32%, equivalent to around 143 million tons of carbon emissions equivalent. What that means is that we are looking at how best we can as a country to cut down our emissions, and how best we can as a country to look at what we can voluntarily cut. And then most of the things are very clear in terms of forestry, how we can plant trees, for electricity generation, energy demand, transportation, agriculture, industrial processes, waste management, and the like. So again, those are very key things that we want to look at as we move on. Ladies and gentlemen, there is potential in mitigation options. As a country, there is big potential in terms of renewable energy space. One of them is around technology development and transfer, capacity building, trainings, advocacy, adoption, and investment. So we are also looking at the flip side of what mitigation options can also put on the table. With the world targeting to net zero emissions by 2050, we are likely to phase out fossil fuels like coal by 2034. Although this one has been affected by, of course, the war that is happening now, and we all know there is a deficiency of energy in Europe, and this might not be achieved as anticipated. 80% of our Kenyans depend on biomass for primary energy. Whichever way we want to look at it, we know that most of the people in the urban and even in the rural area are using, charcoal, and also are using firewood primarily to cook. This leads to indoor air pollution, and you know what that means, and the GHG emissions. This is a key representation of actually what is happening in sub-Saharan Africa. So we are not, we are in the same space where most of the countries are suffering the same problem we are. So to look at what are the mitigation priorities that we can look at. One is the priority actions is the need to climate-proof energy infrastructure. I think there is a lot which must have been talked about in this very important conference in terms of how we can start looking at energy as a component that needs attention, and more specifically on issues around efficiency in terms of industries, in terms of cooking, in terms of, the usage of energy, which is primarily the main thing that is used in houses, offices, and also industries. There is need to promote renewable energy development, also looking at increasing the renewable in the electricity mix in the national grid. If we are talking about, wind energy, solar energy, geothermal, and other sources of clean energy. We're also looking at increase of uptake of clean cooking, especially in the developing nations. We're also looking at enhancement of energy resource efficiency across different line sectors. We're also looking at clean, efficient, and sustainable energy technologies, which are also in the space. If we want also to look at renewable energy technologies landscape, we are aware, and I'm sure this has been talked about in terms of sources. There is direct solar energy, there is geothermal energy, hydropower, wind energy, ocean energy in terms of waves. And globally, these sources contribute to around 29% of electricity source by 2020, with 16.8% coming from hydropower. So we're also looking at the benefits. What are these benefits? Large potential of mitigation of in terms of climate change. This is a huge benefit that we are looking at, especially in energy efficiency and tuning to renewable energy, and also contribution to socioeconomic development in terms of energy access. If you look at energy access in terms of education sector, in terms of the health sector, in terms of refrigerating vaccines, in terms of also security enhancement. So when you look at that, and also if you define electricity as a source of generating income, then you redefine electricity more than just lighting, and that also opens up opportunities of economic development, and also improvement of energy access, as I've said, is also one of the SDGs that is very key. And this is SDG 7, which is very key to secure energy supply, reduce negative impacts of environmental and health, as I had indicated. Globally, an estimated of 3.4 trillion will be invested actually in renewable energy. So this is also very key to talk about. In terms of renewable energy and what it offers in climate change, ladies and gentlemen, we can see this potential in creation of 25 million jobs by 2030. That is in Africa alone. So this also calls for also looking at redefining electricity and electricity for production. And if we do that, then we are going to achieve that sort of target. Increasing the share of renewable energy in energy mix, I think this is also something that stimulates systems like implementation and governed by finances, technology development, and also transfer and capacity building in related areas. I think the other thing that we need to talk about is the cost of energy from renewable energy is relatively higher because of course, the initial cost. But when you look at it in terms of the bigger picture, then eventually it becomes lower as you move on, and the sort of other, achievements you get, like, health, and also in terms of, saving resources if you are tuning from paraffin to solar, and also in terms of time, and also socially, again, you save time of moving up and down to look for fuel. What are these renewable energy sources? Again, what climate change offers, I think you can see as well issues around using, climate smart or climate renewable sources. Then you have environmentally friendly technologies. The economy, as I had mentioned, is elevated in terms of the income. And the technologies are also good in terms of indoor air pollution, and also this is important in terms of the health sector. So we're all aware that in the Paris Agreement, and why I bring this discussion is because in the Paris Agreement, there are components under Article 4.3 which talk to issues around mitigation, and specifically in terms of supporting the nationally determined contribution. And some of the points that come up is it is stated that we shall have new additional financial resources, and also we shall have agreed full incremental cost and activity. And some of them, which maybe I have not mentioned here, are also like support to technology and capacity development. What that means is that there is a promise by the developed countries to be able to support this. Why I'm bringing this topic this time is because as a country, when we promised to cut down 32% of our emissions by 2030, there was an assumption that we shall have an equivalent money that will support this activity. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, the country can only support 13% of our NDC. What that means, as we go to Egypt in a few days, we shall not have a lot to say because, again, we have not met our level of bargain. But this is also because we have not had enough resources to be able to capture this. So most of these things are promises, and then the promises also need to be met by really concrete support. So as I come to my conclusion, there are three key things I want to put in place. One is a policy. There is need for good governance, evidence-based decision-making, policy development, evidence-based, and implementation and financing. I think policy is one of the drivers of the issues around mitigation in this country and beyond. So, and that's why most of us have been marshalling the implementation of the policies we have as a country, especially in the Climate Change Act of 2016. And also the issue of implementation of the resources have been held. We need also to look at how they talk to the livelihood issues, education, advocacy, technology, because technology transfer is very key in terms of achievement of all these things, because most of the things are reliant on assumptions, like the cook stoves we have in the country are costing around $40 per cook stove. So my question every day is, can my mother, can my grandmother be able to afford that kind of, resource or that kind of jiko to be used in the house? And the answer is no. And then the other place they go is to merry-go-rounds, they go to circles, and then they even enter into a bigger problem than they had. So coupled with that, I think we need to have very good financial systems that I can be able to capacity build our people, can also be able to mainstream, can also be able to support these kind of technologies. And of course, the other things that we must talk about is the threats. Recently, we had a threat of COVID-19, which has not ended, but at least subsided. We had, for the first time in the world, the emissions dropped drastically, but now they have gone up because, again, some countries which had abandoned fossil fuel, they had abandoned coal, are now rethinking of going back again because they also don't have cleaner energy sources. So again, those are issues that we can't run away from, but we need to have plan B in terms of sustainability, in terms of what we are saying. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to really thank you for that opportunity of talking to you and listening to me. And I'm happy to hear any reactions, questions, and I wish you all the best. Once again, Lynette, thank you very much for listening to me. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. John Kioli. That was really short and sweet. Such a short and sweet presentation. And I love the kind of synergies we have between our speakers. We can see a lot of these points that were raised by our previous speakers. You have mentioned policy, the importance of us having good governance and policy. You have mentioned the importance of us thinking about how are we implementing these solutions so that we are not going back to COP27 and, COP meetings and saying we have not implemented because of 1, 2, 3. And lastly, how are we mitigating any threats? Any questions for Mr. Kioli? I hope he has not dropped off.
No, I'm still there. I'm still there.
All right. If you have any questions for him. If not, I think we want to thank you, John, for taking the time. I know you are a busy person. You had a project in Turkana. I hope that you can get to hear a little more about this and that you'll even tell us more about if you're going to Egypt, you'll tell us more about what the results of that discussion are. Let's give a hearty hand clap to Mr. John Kioli. Asante sana.